R is for reading books, written by Cheryl E. Hill and illustrated by Dave G. Pierce. R is for reading books is a different kind of ABC book. It is gorgeous in that it has beautiful pictures, but it's an alphabet book that teaches. It depicts children's favorite book titles, old and new, with a corresponding English alphabet sound per book title. Explanation in rhythm and rhyme is about why the represented letters say the sounds that they do. And the explanation is given in rhyme. When letter sounds have unexpected sounds which do not sound as expected. We give I talk about the regular, typical sound that a letter makes, and then those unexpected sounds as well, or sounds that we don't see as often in some words as we do in other words. Like, for instance, letter sound A says I. That's the sound we hear most often in the English language. And the sound that we hear the next most often is the sound, the second sound of A, which says its ABC name. But then there's a third sound of A that we don't hear as much, and we don't run across it as much in words, but nonetheless, we need to know it. Because when we come to a word that does have that third sound of A, we need to know how to pronounce it and read it correctly. The inspiration and the idea that started percolating in my mind for many years, it came about because I could not find an ABC book detailed enough to teach children about the many varied sounds of the ABCs. And I knew it was crucial to learning to pronounce words correctly as well as to read words correctly. I could not find an ABC picture book that a child, parent, teacher, or librarian could simply pick up to read aloud in appreciative enjoyment of beautiful pictures and rhyming language which comprehensively taught the varied ABC sounds of the English language. There are lots of ABC books written by many famous authors and even some movie stars, but they were not representative of all of the sounds in the English language. And sometimes they were not even accurately portrayed. And so that bothered me. I couldn't use a book that was not accurately portraying the various sounds that was most critical to know in the English language. I desired an ABC book with pretty pictures, as a learning source for children to read and learn incidentally while enjoying those pretty pictures and having fun reading rhymes and learning about reading as it became more intrinsically naturally embedded within the child's memory, within the child's understanding. I wanted it to be learning, but incidental, kind of unnoticed, because the children would be fascinated with the beautiful pictures as well as the rhyming words. And, you know, kids love rhyming words. They love songs. They love nursery rhymes. And so presented in that manner, in that type manner, would allow children to kind of start, like having it be like a fun thing. Ooh, look at these pretty pictures. Ooh, listen to those rhyming words. But yet and still, the learning is being embedded intrinsically. Something that you really like to do, and it's becoming a part of you. That's true learning. I wanted teachers and librarians to have something that they could pick up in their hand in the guise of a pretty ABC book and read naturally and informatively and informally while reading aloud to children over and over again. Eventually encouraging children to read along with an adult modeling the reading, to read together as a group, to read with a partner, to read alone. You see what I mean? And parents, the same thing. Read along with the parent as the child is reading. Read along with another child, another sibling, and then eventually reading alone. There was not an ABC book like this in my library, in the bookstores, or anywhere that could be found. So what did I do? I decided to write my own book. And that is how R is for Reading Books came about. That's how that idea percolated and eventually came into fruition. Let's look on the inside of this book. On this page, you see that's a semblance of me with children gathered around. The children that are sitting next to me, the closest, the boy in the yellow shirt and the girl in the blue dress, those are my other two children, a semblance of them when they were children. On the front cover, I think I mentioned to you, the boy on the front cover is my older son, my oldest child, a semblance of him when he was 4 years old. The next page that I want to talk about, focus upon, is a dedication. The dedication, I dedicated this book to all the children I have touched by empowering them to read over the many years, to become literate readers, to achieve in their endeavors of life. My children and other people's children. Also dedicated to my mother and grandmother, because they modeled at an early age for me that books were a part of becoming literate. We didn't live in a fancy house. In fact, I do believe I was poor, but I didn't know it, because we always had lots of books around. My grandmother was reading, my mother was reading, and so I read. I read because they did. The seed was planted for me to achieve early, whatever I wanted to do, and the expectation for me to continue my education so many years ago. Now let me warn you about this book. And when I say warning, it's not anything bad. It's just kind of a fun way for you to know how serious I am, or how serious this book is. It has beautiful pictures, true. It has fun rhyming language, but it also teaches. R is for reading book, is an ABC book, different from all the rest because it teaches you the secrets of reading, hiding within the ABCs. It opens your eyes to unlock the secret reading mystery so you can read your very best. So take your time and don't rush through. Read half the book one day and the half the next day. Or read about 6 to 8 letters each time or each day, if that's easier to do, or each time there's a story read to you by your parents, by your teacher, or by your librarian. Each time this book is read to you, take it slowly, half at a time or 6 to 8 letters at a time. Lots of review until you gradually work your way through the entire book. Pay attention to storybook names, some new, some old fame. Look and search them out in the library and bookstore. You will grow as a reader, reading more and more books forevermore. Page 1, A1. The first sound of A, found most often in English words, says I, as in apples, gathered on my knees from apple farmer Annie's apple trees. Page 2. A2. The second sound of A says its own name, as in acorn, found on the ground in Tales from Acorn Wood, where the oak tree stood. Oh, 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 you too must know before we go. Sometimes in words, we have 2 letters that make the sound of a letter sound, as in the long sound of A. 2 letters say A's name, as in tail, T-A-L-E. There's an E at the end. Let me get a little closer. The silent E at the end makes that A say its long name in tail. In the word play, letter teams, 2 letters together, A-Y, play, ace. That A, when A says its name, its long name, its long sound, it says its own name, A-Y. The letter team A-Y is what is making that long A sound. There, unexpected, but it says E and the I, letter team, there. EI says A, says A's long name, even though A is not there, but the EI, that's one of those don't follow the rules words, where the E and the I is sounding like A's name. We call that the long sound of A. EY, they. EY is a letter team sounding, giving this the long A sound in that word, they. And the male, let me get up a little closer. The male, AI. Letter team AI, saying A. a second sound. The mail came. Silent E is making the A in the middle say A. The mail came in the rain. AI, two letters together, letter team AI, saying the long A sound when A says its name. Rain. Now, four letters say A's name in that fine nursery rhyme. In that fine nursery rhyme line, 8, lay the stick straight. In the word 8, E-I-G-H, all those letters, E-I-G-H together, four letters, 8. Says you can hear A's second sound. It's long sound. Lay the stick straight. A-I-G-H, four letters in the word straight. Straight. You can hear that second sound of A when A says its name. A. Straight. Page 3. The third sound of A. A3. You don't hear the third sound of A as often as you do the first sound of A or the second sound of A, but it's important to know that A has a third sound. Because when you get to a word and you think to yourself, well, wait a minute, this A, what is this word saying? This A is not saying A, it's not saying A, but it's saying another sound of A, the third sound. Ah. The third sound of A says ah, as in father. All fathers and mothers' children, boy or girl, will want to read all the world. Knowing all the ways to read A makes lore readers who are smart, bright readers of books forevermore. Page 4, B. B says B. B says B as in bear and blueberries in the book Blueberries for Sal, where little bear and little Sal get all mixed up eating they get all mixed up blueberry eating pals. Page 5, C1. The first sound of C, when followed by A, O, or U, says K, as in corduroy. Corduroy is a book about a toy bear wanting care and love from any girl or boy. Page 5. C2. The second sound of C, when followed by E, I, or Y, says S, as in Cinderella. Cinderella is a favorite fairy tale to be read by any girl or fella. Page 7. D. D says D, as in duck, in the tale of Jemima Puddle Duck. Reading this tale will make you chuckle and cluck. I'm going to stop for right now because I just want to do as I suggested, maybe take in 6 or 7 pages each time we read, and then the next time we read, we will review and have some other activities to go with it. I'm going to show you in just a minute. Let's look at the back cover. Let me tell you about this back cover. You see that dog sitting on that log reading that book? You know why I chose to have that picture with a dog sitting on a log reading a book? Because when I was teaching children to read, whether their language or whether English was their first language or English was their second language, sometimes we had boys and girls that we kind of got worried about. We didn't know whether or not they were going to read or not. And some of the teachers knew about the success that I was having with children that were sometimes reading didn't come as easy to them as some others. But that didn't mean anything was wrong. That's just the way it is. Sometimes it takes some people a little bit longer to learn something. I'm that way about a lot of things. Some people will get it right off, and then it takes some people a little bit longer. I'm that way about a lot of things. But they started saying to me, Mrs. Hill, you can teach a dog to read. And that is why I have that dog there, sitting on that log reading that book. It makes me remember what other teachers used to say about me. On the back, I have these words. To discover the secret of reading is to unlock the knowledge playing hide and seek within the ABCs. To practice reading is to read books. That's with anything. It's like riding a bicycle, learning to swim. It's a skill. Once you learn how to do something, playing the piano, swimming, riding a bike, reading is the same way. You have to practice it to become excellent or good or better or best. Let's go back again. I'm going to just review what we've talked about, just those letters we've gone over. Let's go back again and look at letter A. A1. The first sound of A says, I found most often in English words, as in apples gathered on my knees from apple farmer Annie's apple trees. Page 2. A2. The second sound of A says its own name, as in acorn, found on the ground in Tales from Acorn Wood, where the oak tree stood. Oh, you two must know before we go. 2 letters say A's name, as in tail, play, there, they, and the mail came in the rain. 4 letters say A's name, as in that fine nursery rhyme line, 8 lay the stick straight. Page 3. A3. The third sound of A says ah, as in father. All fathers and mothers' children, boy or girl, want to read all the world. Knowing all the ways to read A makes lure readers who are smart, bright readers of books forevermore. Page 4. B. B says B, as in bear and blueberries. Blueberries in the book Blueberries for Sale, where little bear and little Sal get all mixed up like blueberry eating pals. Page 5. C1. The first sound of C, when followed by A, O, or U, says K, as in corduroy. Corduroy is a book about a toy bear wanting care and love from any girl or boy. Page 6. C2. The second sound of C, when followed by E, I or Y, says S, as in Cinderella. Cinderella is a favorite fairy tale to be read by any girl or fella. Page 7. D. D says D, as in duck, in the tale of Jemima Puddle Duck. Reading this tale will make you chuckle and cluck. You know, boys and girls, well, I'm pretending I could be talking to some adults right now who are who are listening to me, but I'm always thinking about the children and the children that they will come in contact with. Their own children, their grandchildren, their niece, their nephew, a teacher and her class, a librarian and all the classes that come into her library, or anyone who works with children and is concerned or interested in developing reading literacy. Practice makes perfect. That's just the way it is. We cannot get around having to practice something. And that's the same way with learning to read and learning all the various sounds of the English language, and for listening and speaking and reading and spelling and writing. Very crucial to know the various sounds of the English language. But still also looking and listening, that's just one part of learning. We have to connect all the ways of learning as much as possible. And so now I'm getting ready just to do a little exercise, to do a little fun something that you can, I'm just going to do it on a piece of paper right now. But the next time I speak with you all, I'm going to talk about making a notebook. I'm just going to do show you one thing today about doing a picture, drawing a picture that goes with the first sound of A. When drawing pictures and writing it out, the letter, the name of the word, and other words that you encounter as you read books and listen to books, that's the part that is we call that the hands-on, the kinesthetic part that connects with your mind when you do something with your hands. I'm going to make a forward C, going forward, and then a backward C, and I'm going to connect it at the bottom, and then I'm going to draw two curved lines and then a circle on top. I may have to do that again because I don't think my camera caught it. And I'm using pencil, which isn't showing up very well. A forward C, and then a backward C, and then I close it at the bottom, and I come and close it at the top, and I make a curved line going this way and another curved line going that way, and I close it at the top to make my stem. And I'm going to write an A at the top. Slant down. And slant down again and cross in the middle. That's my uppercase A. And then a little a, my lowercase a, is make a circle and down again. And I'm going to just write 1 over it as a reminder. Pull straight down. That's the first sound of A. Apple, that's what you hear. And I'm going to write the word apple by it. And the next time I speak with you all, I will have various ways we can do this, either in a notebook, make some type of special little booklet for it by all the vowels. But I think I like it in a notebook best of all. That way you can keep everything together. All right. I hope you enjoyed listening to me today.